No, that's not the parasympathetic mode we're going into. We're going into the dorsal vagal collapse mode, where the body literally takes over in this like hyper adrenaline situation and starts to shut you down. It takes over. This emergency code, boom, you're not even thinking this part of the brain again, that's off. We're in that brainstem survival mode. That takes over, and like the computer in your brain says, shut everything off. We're conserving as much energy as possible. So the point where we are looking like we're dead. Ladies, welcome back to Talk Shop. I know a lot of you love your videos, and I also love videos and listening to them in the background. I will always have, I'll try to have two forms of learning, in written form where I can be succinct with my bullets and organize some data. But I love to free flow, of course, in videos, and this is what I'm gonna do today with the topic of being attuned to your body. So today's conversation, I got my little layout of stuff, is tuning into your body. So let's talk about polyvagal theory. Boom, this is so important. I printed it out, laminated it, so if I'm using it, you guys have to reference it. In fact, I will be pinning to the top some of the most important content that I will be going into all the time. So as you guys see, very brief overview, we've got this green category, right? So find this chart, print it if you can, save it. This green category is known as the ventral vagal state. So think of state of mind, what state you're in, literally. I'm gonna call it ventral state. This is where we rest. This is where we digest. This is where the parasympathetic nervous system, if you guys know a little bit about that, we are in that calm mode. So when we rest, we digest, we are grounded, we are connected, we can eat, we can go to the bathroom, we can socialize. This is especially when I think of feminine energy. We are present, we can be playful, we can joke around, we can have playful banter, play fight, we can create. This is just in the most luscious, best place in life to be. Literally, your nervous system is regulated, you're good. If there's a problem, something comes up, when you're already in a state of peace and calm, literally this is your Christ mode, literally, this is just Jesus mode, heaven, paradise, kingdom. Someone can be like, oh my gosh, I just accidentally forgot this, or I maybe slightly scratched your car. I don't know, but something less severe, I guess. People can a stranger can look at you and you will interpret the world with a lot more kindness and grace and compassion, and you're just gonna experience life a lot better, because perception is reality. When you are in safety and you're okay, and deep inside you understand, you're a daughter of God, anything that comes at you, you're like, it's good, God's got it, I can do this. We feel like we have the bandwidth, the emotional width and tolerance to handle situation. Something stressful comes up, ooh, let me figure out this challenge, I got this, I'm gonna call this person, I'm gonna connect with that. This is when we're literally vibrating, being vibrant in our element. As a human, everyone wants to be in this, especially as a female and as a woman. This is when our true beauty and gifts and giftings will be unlocked. So look at this a little bit. Obviously, if we really even get to the physiological and physical concepts, this is where your immunity in you is very good. You're probably quite healthy. Pretty much you are very health, vitality, circulation. You're mindful, compassionate, you can forgive people. This is the best place to be in, and I'm always cultivating to have this, if I could say, kingdom mode in me, but I can literally pinpoint to nervous system science language and say, oh, ventral mode. So a lot of it, in my opinion, we use a lot of different concepts that I think either they parallel or a Venn diagram, there's a lot of overlap. But to me, there are a lot of similar concepts. We can talk about feminine energy. We can talk about Holy Spirit and being Christian and Christ-like, or we can use words like kingdom. And we can even talk about parasympathetic mode in the nervous system. Okay, if I even want to split it into the brain, when we are relaxed, so this is your brain stem, this is your mid area where all your emotions and memories are stored. I know, very basic, but just follow me. When all this is calm and brainstem is that survival, body functions, physiology, when all is well and stable, you have enough blood flow and resources going to this front part of your brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, and this is this thinking higher level brain that they say. Like animals will go up to here, like mammals, right? But we as humans have this front part of the brain. We can have problem solving skills, we're rational, we can, you know, strategize, we can create. Like this is, I don't know, wisdom, critical thinking, rational, logical, again, creative part of the brain. But you have to be in a state of safety and rest to even access this, because we all know when we're maxed out in energy and we're stressed out and our emotional, you know, and window of tolerance bandwidth is this big, and it just takes one little problem to just take us to the edge, and we go into our fight and flight modes. Yeah, that's where really unpretty things come out of us, because we're in that state. When we're in a state of anxiousness, anxiety, fear, anger, we're irritable, we're mad, we're all these different things, we're maxed out, right, as a resource, right? We're a vessel, but within us are resources. So our energy, our time, again, our bandwidth, I'm saying that a lot, our emotional capacity to regulate. When it's so squeezed and we don't have much to give, we don't really have much to give, and things become sloppy, and we're trying to do shortcuts, and we're frustrated, and it's not kingdom, it's not God, it's, you know, it's our humanness, it's our flesh, it's our tiredness, whatever you want to call it. Scientifically, that's that fight, flight mode, the yellow mode, okay? That is the sympathetic nervous system, and that is oftentimes when adrenaline starts to kind of kick in. And unfortunately, think of like stress hormones like cortisol, it just gets stuck in people's bodies, and when you're not expelling it and getting back to a level of like peace, again, ventral mode, what's going to happen? You're in adrenaline mode. Your body's looking for the next threat. And the problem is a brain in threat, when you're searching for who's going to yell at me, what else is going to happen, is this car going to cut me off? You will not only find that, because you will find what you will seek. That biblical principle is for good and bad, but you will literally experience that, and it will probably multiply the severity. So not only are you going to interpret as this car just cut me off, and what a you know, and you know, maybe some people can yell at them, and just it's going to escalate unnecessarily to something higher and higher. Someone could have accidentally just normally, like, I don't know, just kind of got in front of you, but now you're interpreting it as he cut me off, and he's such a jackass, and he's this and this and that. You know how people escalate. So what happens is when we're in that mode, so our arousal increases, we get frustrated. So if we're going into fight mode, everyone, we're moving towards the trigger, the stimuli, towards the threat. Technically speaking, in science, I've heard it says that if a person's triggered, usually a lot of times, the natural inclination is to go into flight mode, where we flee, we run away from a danger. So people can be worried, concerned, there's anxiety, fear, panic. Think of like extreme cases, a bear coming at you. Technically speaking, probably the best, wisest decision in that situation is to run away. But when we cannot, then we go into fight mode, where we go towards the danger and the stimulus. So that's when we start to go into like frustration, irritation, anger, rage, and all this, again, unfun stuff comes out. I'm going to do a little course this month about the fight, flight, freeze modes, and I'll kind of go into depth, of course, using polyvagal, so study this, but I'm going to go into the specific types of behaviors that people can have, whether it's like self-soothing or addictions or you know, perfectionism, or just like breaking these very specific behaviors and what category of fight, flight it is. So the interesting thing about polyvagal is people used to think it was like rest mode, and then the other category was fight, flight, freeze. Until scientifically they discovered that freeze is actually a completely different tier in this, like, you know, hierarchy of our nervous system. So parasympathetic system, very interesting, that's that ventral mode, and it goes into safety, you're relaxed, you're present with your body. You can feel like, oh, I'm cold, or I need a blanket, or oh, I'm so excited, I need to move around, I want to dance, I want to play, right? You're very hopefully attuned or in tune with your body. I'll get to this a little bit later. However, when we're in fight, flight mode, boom, we're triggered, something happened. We are antsy, right? We have our physiology. Sometimes people ask me, how do I know if I'm triggered? Well, you don't even have to emotionally know you're triggered or even know what it is. Your physiology will let you know. How are you breathing? Are you panicking? Do you have anxiety in your body? Like when people say, I'm feeling anxious, it's not as much as an emotion as much as what their body feels. And that's why this brainstem, going back into the memories and emotions, we think of like memories and emotions, but really it's rooted in our body, how we experience life. Like if there's a dog, right, coming at me and I'm getting scared, I'm not going to be like, "Whoa, I feel scared." Okay, that's in your mind. That's when clients are able to label emotions but not experience them. There's a disconnect. When your body is feeling fear, how do you feel? Are you running away? Are you spacey? Are you dissociated? Are you shutting down? Do you have like your jaws tight, your shoulders are tense, you feel this happening? Are you fidgety? Are you like shallow breaths, right? Your body will start to show you. Are you sweaty? Are you tight? What is happening? And a lot of times when people start to tune in, why am I shaking? Why am I breathing so fast? Again, the body's letting you know something's off. When that happens, then you can sometimes pinpoint the emotions. Oh, that's fear, frustration. I feel anger. I feel like I want to cry. Right? And then oftentimes when I'm helping clients process what's happening, then we can get into things like memories, although a lot of times that matters, again, way less. This is the visual stuff, remembering things, as much as what really matters is flushing the stuff out of your body. So when scientists used to think fight, flight, freeze, it's all the same category until they realized fight and flight were in the sympathetic nervous system, right? I don't have to think about my eyeballs dilating, pupils, my digestion stopping to work. Like this is like when I'm in like a bear's running after me, right? Or something crazy, or a dog, or I'm in a car accident or whatever. Now is not the time to be like, I need to go to the bathroom. And a lot of times, actually kind of an interesting little tidbit, I'll have clients that talk a lot about like gastro, or what's the GI system in their body, their intestines, like not working well, or they're always having issues. Because think about it, like you're in anxiety and you're tightened up and you're perceiving fear. Yeah, you're right. You're going to have a hard time going to the bathroom. But then when you start to like process out a lot of these anxieties and your body starts to calm down, lo and behold, like one of the things that clients report is, I can actually go to the bathroom normally. And that's a good thing. And that's why we say rest and digest. You can eat, you can go to the bathroom, you can connect, all that wonderful stuff in ventral mode. So when that that sympathetic nervous system is activating, and think about clients or people who are always in this distress mode. Can you imagine the toxins literally reeking out of their bodies, in their cells, the havoc that it makes on your emotional, mental, physical, spiritual health? Like, it's crazy. And I just even think of like the concept of emotions, energy stuck in, like, energy should be in emotions, right? How do I say this? Emotions is energy moving, but what happens when energy is stuck and not in motion? It's going to continue to get triggered and continue to activate, and it's like this nasty pimple or something that will just not come out and leave, right? It's painful, it's uncomfortable. So we want to be able to process different triggers and physiological responses and trauma. Highly recommend reading the book by Bessel van der Kolk, The Body Keeps the Score, which means when the brain is developing, the brain stem and that midbrain, the limbic system develops, a lot more first in the early years than this prefrontal cortex. And what happens is actually, since again, your brainstem, I mean, that's just complete survival, breathing, eating, digesting, all of that when you're a baby. It doesn't matter if the front part of your brain doesn't even remember a specific interaction that, let's say, you had with a parent. Maybe it was neglect. Maybe you like would cry a lot and not get your needs met or whatever. You don't even have to like remember that story like visually if that part of your brain isn't developed yet, but your body will remember that distress. Your body will feel what neglect feels like. Your body will remember what it feels like not being attuned to and getting its needs met. And so that's crazy, but we just get so programmed early on, which goes into attachment theory, another video. But anyways, and then we have freeze mode, which then scientists have found out that for some reason, we call it the dorsal vagal mode. This is beyond danger. This is like life-threatening type of stuff. And when your body feels like it's helpless, hopeless, can't do anything about it, like the distress and everything going on is overwhelms and floods our system or ability to manage or tolerate or even resolve triggers, we just get to a point where we just shut down, numb out, dissociate, we're spacey. I mean, we are just surviving. And a lot of times it reminds me of this saying, the lights are on, but nobody's home. These are the clients or people sometimes in more severe cases, you know, they're not very respondent. I mean, sometimes I've had times where I remember working, at least in the counseling realm, where I'm like, how did you even drive to session? And they're like, I don't know, I'm just really nervous. I mean, it scares me. But then all at the same time, we have a lot of people in our world that's just like overwhelmed with stress, or they don't know how to regulate their bodies. Or, you know, life happens, different seasons, and we're just kind of surviving, going with the flow. A lot of times that's, you know, we can look at someone and be like, wow, what a couch potato, you're just laying down doing nothing. And we don't even realize they're just like, again, just like surviving. They're in complete shutdown mode. And the crazy thing about the science of that is when you are in, it's funny, scientists found it's in also parasympathetic nervous system, but it's a little bit different. It's just shutdown. So it can look like that person's not doing anything. In fact, I've had clients that were like, I'm calm, I'm peace, I feel nothing. And in reality, that's not calm or peace or any, that's not that at all. In reality, sometimes these are clients who are just so shut down. They're not present, they're not in tune with anything that's going on with their body. And when I think of survival mode, and let's use the animal kingdom to make this a little bit more understandable, when you have an animal that plays dead, it's actually a very ingenious creation by God, because they are oftentimes in extreme, if I could say, trauma, life and death threatening situation, literally at, you know, the presence of their predator. They're in prey mode, P-R-E-Y, maybe they're praying as well, P-R-A-Y-ing. Or whether it's like, you know, people, an extreme, like sometimes even like with a predator or something, we just shut down. And sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I have a hard time a little bit understanding the difference between freeze and fawn, or some of these, they all kind of like in some ways, I think, bleed in or blend in with one another. I think with fawn, I'm not going to get into that in this video, but with fawn, you just learn how to kind of people please. And a lot of times kids who grew up with abusive family members or manipulative or exploitive or explosive, whatever, you know, these kids sometimes figure out how to like downplay and just kind of survive and people please and do whatever they want. But when I'm talking about freeze mode, when your dorsal, this vagus nerve that we call it, is in shutdown mode with the animal kingdom, like that's actually really good because they can conserve a lot of energy when they're in like death mode. So I think of like, let's use an animal for this, and you can use yourself as an example in real life. But let's say there's a gazelle in the safari playing, having fun, eating, whatever. Everything's great, ventral mode. And then what happens is you start to, there's some kind of sound and all the, you know, the herd stops and looks. And even if you didn't hear that sound, your nervous system, this is where that co-regulation or community is so important. If you didn't hear it, you better hope that your partner, peer, neighbor, someone heard something, and you're going to trust their judgment that something's going on, and you're going to tune to that. So co-regulation, you could be someone's nervous system can help you regulate and like calm down thanks to someone else's, groundedness and mindfulness. Sometimes that's why counselors and coaches and great people are awesome in our lives. But sometimes we also gotta, again, attune to someone else's nervous system and again, catch up, like, sometimes what's going on? And so like, let's say there's like a lion that comes in, like you bet you want to go into flight mode, like get out of there, right? But what happens when the lion is after you and you can't fly anymore because he just is coming at you? You might try to like take your antlers or whatever gazelles have, or whatever methods you have to like push them away to fight them, because now you're in that adrenaline is gonna push you to like, again, push away that threat. And then let's say it's a losing battle, unfortunately. I'm sorry for this graphic example, but it's okay. Let's say that lion comes and takes you and puts his jaws over your neck and you're the gazelle. What would be wiser, in human nature? To continue to fight and tear up your neck, or just be still? And so what does being still even mean? Does that mean I'm going to go into ventral mode, and as your teeth and jaws are sinking in and I'm bleeding, I'm just going to relax? No. That's not the parasympathetic mode we're going into. We're going into the dorsal vagal collapse mode, where the body literally takes over in this like hyper adrenaline situation and starts to shut you down. It takes over this emergency code. Like boom, you're not even thinking this part of the brain again, that's off. We're in that brainstem survival mode. That takes over, and like the computer in your brain says, shut everything off. We're conserving as much energy as possible, to the point where we are looking like we're dead. And so your heart rate starts to actually go down. That doesn't mean you're calm, by the way. Your blood pressure changes, muscle tone, like there's just this like almost like deadness that starts to happen over you. And so here's the thing, here's the benefit in human nature, or animal kingdom and human nature, I guess. This lion could be like, yes, I grabbed my prey, and like you're still alive, and he's pulling you into his cave and drops you down and starts to kind of walk away. And then you have the little cubs come and start to play with you and like nibble at you and pull your hair and blah blah blah, all of that. And that is a great time where your brain, your system goes reboot, and it's almost like electric shock. Click the button and you just, all this adrenaline comes back, spikes through your body, gives you supernatural ability to just like run off for your life. And then boom, you are able to skedaddle, get out of that threat, that danger, get away as far as you can before the lion or anyone can react and get you, and then go, find your herd and rest and heal, and then, collapse and slowly get back into that, like, if I could say, that ventral mode. So as you guys can see, like in extreme situations, like being in freeze mode or dorsal vagal collapse is great. But what happens when that's like your life? That's not helpful. We have people who are like zombied out. And I say this with a lot of just like, sensitivity. Like it makes me sad, like what's going on with people and triggers in life. I mean, I can guess what's happening, but if you're in that freeze mode, like either we got to take you out of that like stressful environment, or there's some healing that needs to happen. And in fact, I cannot and I will not work or do any kind of like from counseling trauma processing work, or even with like in my coaching field, I don't do any kind of like crazy work until I start to recognize or perceive that my client that I'm working with is present. And when I say present, I mean at least they are stabilized and they are safe. Because when a person is, like, here's the thing, like I'm helping clients oftentimes just like stabilize, get their emotions regulated, kind of identify what do they need to cope. A lot of times that's like phase 1 that I will have with clients. And I will not It goes against my values, and I think it's clinically dangerous to do any kind of crazy trauma work on someone who's just not ready to even be present in our bodies. This green mode, and I get it, I don't get clients that are like in green mode looking for help, but the more I can get them like deactivated, when their arousal system can start to decrease, that's when you can start to do work and process memories and life experiences and emotions. I understand there's always this kind of in and out, but there has to be some kind of groundedness and stability in order for people to then like access and do inner work and healing. You cannot heal when you're still highly in a certain environment of threat and danger and stress. Like how? Like that just like reminds me of when I used to work at the high school, and I love that experience. But as a mental health counselor, it's like it just felt so defeating working with a kid for 55 minutes, if even once per week, and then they have to go out in their like distressful, chaotic world, society, family, or lack of, and then it's like you're coming back and they already have like a million more problems by the time they see you. But when I'm working with people who are like, I'm in a season to heal, which is why I love like the coaching kind of aspect. People are coming in, hey, I'm realizing I have certain triggers. I go into fight mode when people talk like this, or my flight mode activates, or I'm just kind of like spacey, but I'm ready to work on myself and do the inner work. When I get people at that like ventral present moment, then I can do work. Then I can do the healing work. Then you are able to recognize like you're sitting here with me, you're present, this is who you are, your age, your space in life. And while we have this like dual reality processing triggers and experiences and memories from the past, and then anytime that gets overwhelming, whoa, we're still here, we're still present. Like there's a part of you that's still anchoring yourself down. But if you're out here in your emotions, physiology, like I ain't doing trauma work. We need to, again, stabilize and be present. So I guess I did a lot more polyvagal education than I was kind of thinking, and I guess that's necessary, and that's kind of like the first video that I'm gonna have. But let me just kind of do like my part 2 in this video without turning this off. I wanted this video to be exclusively for my talk shop, but I'll give my YouTube people a sneak peek of what I do and how I go into teaching a little bit, so that if you're interested to continue to learn more about triggers and life and all these different things, especially like personal stories and seeing other women, their comments, whatnot, subscribe to the talk shop. It's a monthly subscription. Check it out, see what you think. There's also available coaching add-on for a member rate, but this is my talk shop is my community where I really just like give my all. I love it so much. So since I'm flowing, I'm just going to continue then to my part 2. So why is attuning into your body important? This is actually the real reason I was making this video in the first place. Let's get into it. Okay, so a lot of what I'm talking about and the women I'm trying to help it's all about like inner work and healing and being present and being in charge of your life. But there's also this hunger, I feel like, as a woman, of like experiencing this feminine experience that like if God chose you, like you are female, and I only work with women in my group. If you were if God in his infinite wisdom made you as a feminine vessel, I understand we have masculine energy and all of that, but let's speak to the feminine in us. Then part of being feminine is like being attuned and connected to your body. Like how scientific, this is not just like energetic or spiritual, it's also scientific. Like I just told you guys, this green mode, this is where life and vibrancy and abundance, the abundance that I talk about this in the soul, that the Bible talks about, that's ventral mode in my opinion. You're creative, you can receive revelations and ideas of literally God. Like this is where like such beautiful life experiences happen when you feel like you're free. This is where, again, like the more courage and confidence we have as women, we can get up and we can dance and we can be playful and we can be fun. And you have to be able to really feel yourself, because how else do you experience even the blessings and pleasures and bliss in life? Like I got my my little drink right here, my little juice. The fact that I can be present enough to be like, oh, this is my blueberry raspberry lemonade and it's so good. You know, I could just default turn everything off, turn off my senses. So think of the word sensuality, and I'm not saying sexuality, even though that's another beautiful big part, but like the senses, like experiencing pleasures and bliss in life. Like, wow, I just was able to taste my pinkity drinkity. Like, that is part of the feminine experience. It's not about like, I just chugged this down and I just barely survived. I remember when I was in grad school, by the way, when I was in grad school, I was just like, oh my goodness, I was just like barely surviving. I was not in ventral mode. It was just survival. I was just in default mode, like towards the end. I was so burnt out, so tired. And I just was like, this sucks. Like, I don't even have time to taste my food. I was in this masculine, it was just survival, masculine energy, just learning, trying to get these exams done, just trying to get the next, just exhausted. Like, there was no feminine juiciness in me at that time in my life. And I understand sometimes we all have seasons. Maybe you're building a business, you're a young mom. We all have these different seasons, but like, that was not my goal to experience that for the rest of my life. And I remember like being like, I can't even taste my food. I don't have time for that. Like, it's not even about, it's just survival. I just need something in my stomach. Like, how anti-feminine experience is that? And now I look at the saying, take time and slow down and smell the roses. And I literally have these beautiful roses by my mom's house. Anytime I stop by, it's my vow, because I love summer so much and I love the scent of those roses. It reminds me of my grandma. Every time I walk by, I have to just like smell it and sniff it, and just, because those roses aren't there in the winter. And now that I'm married, I'm not always at my mom's house to check it out. And so what a luxury, what a little beautiful flavor in life. This is part of your feminine experience. You get to slow down and engage the 5 senses. And oh my goodness, we're talking about mindfulness and being grounded. Speaking of grounded, those are the 5 senses: taste, touch, see, smell. Oh my goodness, what is it? Taste, touch, I'm losing it, feel, hear. Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys know it. I'm blanking. Anyways, when we have the 5 senses that we're able to use and embody, it helps us, again, be present in our body. So going back to the polyvagal experience, working with people who are more used to maybe being shut down or in frustrated or angry or just like flight mode or not present, a lot of times the reason people are so disconnected with their body, and again I'm speaking to women, it's because it is not safe to feel and stay in your body. What does that mean? So let's go back to this like anxiety and worry or fear mode. When that's petrifying to feel your nervous system, you're constricted, you're sweaty, you're fidgety. We just distract ourselves with different coping modes. I'm just gonna watch TV. I'm just gonna turn on another Netflix thing. I'm just gonna surf the web. I'm just gonna go talk with my friends. I'm just like anything we can do to distract ourselves from being present in our body in order to flush and detox some of these toxic emotions out. That's where a lot of times working with a coach or counselor, whoever, is very helpful, where you could sit with them, like my nervous system, my groundedness will help a person feel more grounded, and I can give them that container to be like, what's going on? What are you feeling? And in my experience, help them process these triggers and emotions and just start to release different things out and be able to breathe, and help them be like, hey, like let's get you grounded. Oh, this is too much. Let's come back and be present. The more I'm able to help women get into their bodies, the more they can access these different pains, triggers, issues, anxieties, but then the more we can process it out and heal and have whatever closure that they need in that experience. So what else do I gotta say? So, another thing I wanted to say. So wisdom. The Bible even talks about wisdom as being she. There's something feminine about that. I think of like men and masculine mode. They're good at knowing things. They're good at just, again, because I'm making this video public for YouTube, I firmly believe women are obviously capable and smart and have a brain. I understand that, but they have different giftings that God designed them as such, as wrapped up and embodied in concepts like wisdom in a way more intuitive and deeper way than men, who I think their strength a lot of times is just they logically can understand certain things and data. And believe me, ladies, I consider myself a pretty smart person, and there have been times even in my marriage where I'm just genuinely surprised how my husband just knows certain things. He just knows. He kind of mapped out certain things about me, and it helps me solve a lot of problems because he uses his gifts, and then I tap into my feminine embodiment and intuition and tell him how I feel about things, and that helps him. So with wisdom, we have to be able to embody our own truth, and we have to be able to feel it. And again, how can you have wisdom or this deeper sense of knowing certain things unless you tune into yourself? And as the feminine vessel, we are the feeling vessel, and we have to get in and be like, oh, that feels off, this feels uncomfortable, that feels dangerous, that feels kind of disrespectful. That, like, unless we can come in and sit and tolerate these emotions, then we can't solve or add to life, to people. So being able to tap in what's coming in, data coming in, and being able to get our needs met and push certain things out if it's irrelevant, or again, we need to heal, or whatever else is going on. So the reason why, because someone said, again, I'm kind of wrapping up this video, but someone had said, what does it mean to feel your body and be tuned into your body? Isn't everyone connected to their body? Well, yeah, I mean, I got my arm here and da-da-da, and I can do this and not even feel anything, or I could be like, oh, I feel my watch. Let's go in. I feel my ring. I can feel, like, right now, I'll practice it in live. I feel my back is a little sore, but because I've been maybe kind of hunched in. What else do I feel? Well, I do feel like my butt is like really grounded into the ground, and I'm becoming more present by being aware of that. Or I can feel joy, right? Where I'm present. So it's all about us getting out of these default autopilot modes of operating, and I did this and this and this and this, and then we wonder how life just escaped us, or really slowing down and literally being saturated in the beautifulness, the sensuality of life and bliss, and be able to flirt with it and experience more and more abundance. And again, something comes up, you don't like it, you're able to feel it and then tap in. Well, then what do you need? What does need to happen in order to release that energy and continue to cultivate and stay in the state of rest, ventral mode? So this is a lot more educational than I thought it would be, but it's very fundamental, and everything that I do with my clients, it revolves around Polyvagal Theory. And if we're taking it further into the feminine energy, feminine essence experience, then you bet this is very important. Because think about feminine energy, I think of it almost like Holy Spirit. When the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. When we can be really still, that's when we are open, we are trusting, and we can really receive and figure out, experience a lot of amazing things. So for those of you who are not subscribed to my talk shop, check it out. Click the link in my comment section. I'm going to pin it. What will you get from this experience? Well, you got a sneak peek now. There's a lot of education. I get really practical, actually, with different examples, things from my journey. And I continue to help you guys figure out how to identify and learn triggers, core wounds, inner child stuff, all these frustrations where you feel stuck, where you just repeat the same thing, you don't know why. I illuminate light as to what's going on, but then I help you guys move through processing that stuff out so you can have the abundance and the blessings and bliss that you desire. So I'll talk to you guys later, and to my talk shop people, get ready for the next video that I will be attaching after this one.